With the help of hypnosis, Dan's anxiety subsided and he returned to work. But what once seemed out of this world has now become a part of his life.
If this is some sort of mental thing that's happening to people, then why aren't the scientists or the doctors or whatever trying to find a cure?
Not something you want to enjoy or want to experience. 10 years that thing has been playing on the A&E channel. On the Sightings channel, they played it for years. This family has gone through hell with this experience. How many of you out here are fathers? Raise your hand if you're a dad. Okay. Raise your hand if you're a mom. Can you guys imagine allowing this to happen to your children? If you had an opportunity to make it not happen? Keep that in mind. Can you imagine what these people have gone through, realizing that they had no control to be able to prevent this from happening to their children? Consider what that's like. That's like having your kid kidnapped, having him molested, and you could do nothing about it. And then you always wonder, could I have stopped that? Imagine having to live with that. This is how these people become casualties of this war. It destroys their lives. It's not a good thing. There are people who report experiences that seem to give them a higher spiritual revelation. But as you heard from Guy in his talk, that needs to be questioned. I want to show you some other examples of casualties of this cosmic war. I've worked with about 400 abduction experiencers over the past 13 years. What you're going to see here are some of the testimonies I get from these people, from what they've been through. My eyes were shut and I was paralyzed and felt drugged, sort of like one might feel when very drunk, but without any burning or nausea or dizziness. I felt like I was lying in bed on my back. I thought I must be in my bed. I looked to the left, opened my eyes, expected to see my significant other there. He was not. I didn't see my bedroom. Instead, I saw a concrete gray room. The light extended out a little ways, but most everything was in shadow. I could move my head and looked around. I saw 3 grays standing over me. 2 were kind of holding me. Another was moving around some. I was intrigued watching all this. They were not causing pain, but then they molested me some. And then there was some telepathic conversation. For the most part, it was really annoying and irritating, and also it was hard to focus. I tried to move, but I was paralyzed. Eventually, they got out a big drill and stuck it in my mouth. It hurt. I tried to ignore the pain and think about something else, but it really hurt. And I think I eventually blacked out from the pain. Immediately, I felt like I was curled up into a ball, and this force went around me like a box that got tighter and tighter. I thought I was done for sure, but did not fight it. This was all happening very fast. At that point, in my dream still, because these people recall this being like a dream, I felt my body shoot up from the bed at something faster than light speed. For a second, I thought I had been killed, but as soon as I hit the ceiling, I came back down and woke up. I had nightmares of being put on a table and being tortured. I had nightmares of demons telling me that I was crazy, and if I ever told anyone about them, I would be locked up, and they would never let me wake up again. I would wake up with bruises, sometimes bleeding and gasping for breath. I would wake up to people standing around my bed, speaking to me in another language that I knew, or my bed shaking violently even though there was no earthquake. Some of these things get brought up this morning in Mike Tatar's talk. And the thing that bothered me most was my clock on the nightstand turning into a slithering snake with the time in its eyes. and so many more bizarre things. I thought I was losing my mind. One night I awoke with a start. My eyes flew open like a close-up in a horror movie when the dead person comes back to life. I was totally awake with a sense that something was very wrong. That sense moved very quickly to terror. I was paralyzed, unable to move anything except my eyes. To my left, over my husband's sleeping body, I could see 3 figures gliding into the room. Their feet, which I couldn't see because a monk-like robe covered them, never touched the ground. They were coming out of a walk-in closet bedroom, and my first thought was, how did they get in here? It was communicated to me in some fashion, I don't know how, that they had come through the large second-story window in the nursery, glided down the hall, gone through the wall into the master bath, and from the bedroom had glided into the closet. I knew they were very, very angry with me for some reason, but I didn't know why. They communicated to me without speaking that they were going to levitate my stiff body, slam me through the window above our bed, and drop me on my head, killing me. They wanted me to know that my husband would be blamed for my death. They violated me sexually. They were all standing around watching this medical experiment. I was scared. I felt helpless, exposed. I was paralyzed. They had no care about how I felt about this. I was nothing to them. It was inhuman. It's terrifying to think that they can access you and do this kind of thing whenever they want. They don't care how you feel about it. There's no appeal. You have no rights. You have no control over it. I guess the worst thing was the feeling of aloneness, a feeling I couldn't relate to or trust anyone. I felt like an outsider to all of humanity, like I was an alien among a world of people and was the only one of my kind. Anytime I tried to trust someone, tell someone what was happening, they would intervene and hurt me or stall me. They would deceive me so I couldn't tell. Being a childhood experiencer, this started when I was 4 and just kept happening over and over again. They would do things to wreck my trust with other people, parents, family, friends, whatever it took. They had me completely believing that I couldn't trust anyone, that if I tried to, it was certain it wouldn't work, and I would be hurt instead, and I really believed that, and that I was totally alone. I gave up. I was lying in bed, kept awake by the barking dogs, when paralysis set in. I was unable to cry out. I could see nothing but a whitish gray, like a mist or fog, although I sensed someone or something was in my room. My wife didn't awaken. The next thing I knew, I was being levitated above my bed. I had the sensation I was being suspended by what felt like a pole inserted into my rectum. By this time, I was alive with terror, but I couldn't scream. Increasingly, I felt as if I were entering a struggle that might even be more than life and death. It might be a struggle for my soul, my essence, or whatever part of me might have reference to the eternal. There are worse things than death, I suspected. So far, the word demon had never been spoken amongst the scientists and doctors who were working with me. Alone at night, I worried about the legendary cunning of demons. At the very least, I was going stark raving mad. This is Whitley Strieber. This is a man who, if you've read his books, he talks about these horrific experiences. But yet, through all he's been through, this man promotes contact with these entities. If you remember his book, Communion, New York Times bestseller years ago, promoting communion with these entities. Does this sound like something you guys are interested in, would like to experience? Hence, the title of my talk, Unholy Communion. These people are casualties of this cosmic war. I say cosmic war because we've laid the foundation through the talks today to show you this is not a physical war. These are entities that are other dimensional, with different purposes than we can imagine. Hence, the cosmic war. I've shared with you casualties of that cosmic war. There are effects that these people have that can be recognized. It's termed post-abduction syndrome. The word abduction in PAS refers to alien abduction. PAS does not refer to humans abducting humans, like kidnapping, but only to alien abductions. PAS shares many symptoms with post-traumatic stress disorder, but it is not the same. PAS is based on the symptoms originally listed by alien abduction researcher Bud Hopkins and described in his books Missing Time and Intruders. PAS symptoms include persistent re-experiencing of the traumatic event characterized by flashbacks, persistent avoidance of stimuli associated with the trauma, denial of the event, labeling the event something else, phobic avoidance of areas or situation where the contact occurred, refraining from sleep at the time the contact occurred, emotional reaction to literature, pictures, or videos about alien entities. That was described by that gentleman in the video. That was the trigger that brought all that out in that family, that got them in contact with Dr. John Carpenter to try and find out what was happening to him. Numbing of emotions characterized by inability to feel intimacy, pleasure, or to express emotions. Diminished interest of previously enjoyed activities. May have no expectation of normal life events or normal lifespan. May fear abduction with no return or lengthy abduction. Hypervigilance, exaggerated sterile response, irritability, and/or panic attacks. This is what these people suffer from that go through this experience. This is effects of a person who's a casualty of a horrific experience. Casualties of a cosmic war.